Today I'm going to give you the 12 spells in Hogwarts Legacy that I think you should skip. Now there are 48 total options for talent points, but you can only get a max of 36, which means that you have to skip 12 of them. Now we did do a video already when the game first came out, and I will say that I certainly jumped to a lot of conclusions and was wrong about a lot of things, but after hundreds of hours of gameplay, a couple playthroughs, I think we finally got it right. So what I did on this playthrough was when I unlocked these spells and talents, I would test them in particular scenarios and objectives just to see how well I liked them. And I did this throughout the entire game, but I never really kept certain spells. I wanted to be able to test everything in the game just to see which ones I thought were the best and which ones I think you should skip. So of course, everybody is going to have a different play style and everybody's going to have a different set of opinions, and some people might value other things a little bit different than what I do. So let's start this off by looking at the spell tree, and out of the 10 on this, the 10 talents on this tree, I think the only one that I really wouldn't take is going to be Depulso. I tried this with a variety of spell combinations and I found it to be certainly quite underwhelming. There are certain situations in which you can use Depulso effectively, especially if you're maybe in a small enclosed space. But those situations are very few in between. And so out of these 10, I would skip Depulso. Moving on to the Dark Arts tree. Now, of course, on your particular playthrough, if you are not using the Dark Arts, then obviously this doesn't apply. And this saves you 10 total talent points already. But either way, if you are using Dark Arts, which I absolutely love the Dark Arts, there are only 2 talents in this tree that I think you should probably skip that you really don't need. And the first one is going to be the Slowing Curse, the Arresto Momentum. This is probably the least spell that I used throughout the entire game on all of my playthroughs. Of course, there are spell combinations in which you can put this in. And when it comes to the Dark Arts, you know, getting an extra cursed enemy by using this spell, you know, it does help, but I just found that I'd rather have other spells on there and not really use Arresto Momentum. I just feels like it's like a filler when you are switching your spell sets, and if you have this in there, that's fine, you can use it, but I just didn't really found it to be all that effective. And then the other one is going to be Restoring Health when you defeat a cursed enemy. Now, if this was maybe at level 5 or something, I could probably consider it, but at level 22, you know, when you get so much gear, you get all the spells unlocked, the game actually becomes a little bit easier. And I found on all of my playthroughs, as the higher I level up, the more gear I get, the more spells I get, the less I needed health and the less I needed Wiggenweld potions and stuff like that. So I certainly think that you can skip this one too. Now let's look at the core tree, and this is certainly one of the areas, this and Room of Requirements are the 2 places in which I probably made the most mistakes. But as far as the talent points in which I don't think you need, first ones we're going to talk about is Wiggenweld. Now, potions are very easy to get. Wiggenwelds are very easy to get. Very easy to brew as well. You can keep 25 of them on you at all times, and every time you go back to the Room of Requirements, you can certainly make more. And in the world as you're defeating enemies. I just don't think that Wiggenweld is really all that useful. Revelio is another one in which it might be useful to kind of see things further away, and yes, it is somewhat useful, but I did do this entire playthrough with just regular Revelio. And I'm telling you, you really don't need to have that extra however many feet you can actually see things. And then the last thing, this might depend on your, you know, sort of play style or whatever, but I don't tend to use Stupefy all that much. I tend to do Perfect Protego, just a quick block, and then get back into my combos and spell sets and stuff. And so enemies stuck with Stupefy remain stunned for a longer period of time, which I tend to, like I said, I don't really use Stupefy a whole lot. I just try to Perfect Protego and then get back into using my spells and basic attacks and things like that. Stupefy deals direct damage on impact. Now, both of these aren't awful, especially the direct damage on impact. All those are okay, but personally for me, I like to go with the Perfect Protego and just be able to get this damaging blast and get these extra 2 projectiles back at your enemies. And so I think that is far more useful, and it like transitions a lot smoother without that extra animation doing the stun or the stupefy. So there will be, you know, somewhat of a variation just depending on your play style, but these are the 5 at least for core that I would recommend skipping. Now let's look at the stealth tree. I certainly think there's going to be people that love the stealth play style, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's a reasonable compromise that you might want to consider without wasting all of these talent points. Now for me, I think that you should skip Sense of Secrecy, and I think you should skip the Human Demiguise. And the reason because of that is that level 5, Room of Requirements, you can unlock the Invisibility Potion. Now, you don't have to waste one of your spell slots in one of your spell sets on the Disillusionment spell. You can just use your Invisibility Potion. And while you won't get the entire complete effect of the stealth playstyle, you can certainly still use the Invisibility Potion at any point and be able to get off Petrificus Totalis. And I think that's a reasonable compromise instead of wasting all 3 of these on here. Now, for this particular one, it is very tempting to use this in the beginning because in the story mode, there are certainly lots of parts in which you use the Disillusionment spell, and it lets you run. So you don't have to crawl so slow to get through the story mode. But if you can hold off with that, I would certainly recommend to only take the Petrificus Totalis and just use the Invisibility Potion. All right, finally, we got the Room of Requirements tree, and this is probably what I was the most wrong about from my initial assessment. The core and the Room of Requirements changed a lot when it came to this many hours of playthrough. And at least for me, the one that I do not like in this game is going to be the Eterus Potion. And the reason why I don't like it is just I don't have the ability to adjust to this. You know, to make this effective, you have to not push buttons. And for as much as I've played, you know, it's just instinct. It's just reaction to block or dodge. And even when I tell myself, don't push any buttons, I'm still pushing buttons, and it just messes me up. Like when I have it, I push the button still. When I don't have it, you know, I'm not pushing buttons. It just messes me up. And so, but the rest of the plants, on the other hand, are absolutely amazing. I love plants in this game. They are so effective, and they complement all of the spells so well. And they're so much fun. I mean, there are a couple in here that maybe you might want to, you know, think about skipping, like Noxus, Venomous, Tactacula. There are a couple issues with this one. You know, the fire rate is really, really slow. Sometimes you put one down and they don't even use it, you know, they don't even fire it at all. So I could understand skipping this one, but I mean, I love all the other talents in the game, and I still use it, and it's still effective. I love the shield break and all that stuff on that one. And then the rest of the potions, absolutely amazing, especially the focus. I love the focus spell. And the invisibility at level 5, like we said with the stealth, you can just use invisibility at level 5 instead of wasting a spell set on Disillusionment or a spell spot on Disillusionment. So those are the 12 talents that I think you should skip, and my recommendations, my updated recommendations on the talent trees and the talent system in this game. Certainly far different from our original assessment. And like I said, this is because, you know, I've had hundreds of hours of gameplay on 2 different systems, on the Xbox and PC, multiple playthroughs, and playing this my last playthrough, just doing certain things and resetting it and trying other things in certain situations. And these are all the ones that I found out to be the most effective, and the 12 that I think you should skip. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed and found this video more helpful than the last video, and I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.